Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 15, 2019 meeting of the Pittsfield Town Council. I ask that we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will ask now for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. All right. Before we go any further, I just wanted to publicly say I apologize that I had to leave the last meeting. My work site, I was supposed to be there at 8 o'clock, and I had somebody cover in for me till 10:30, and I worked from 8 o'clock at night till 6:30 in the morning. They couldn't stay any later than 10:30 because it was a Wednesday night. That's not a normal council night. It was moved up because of the holiday. So again, I apologize. I had to leave in the middle of that, but I couldn't leave somebody stranded at work either. That had to take precedence. And thank you, Heather, for covering for me, Deputy Mayor. Appreciate it very much. The first thing on the agenda item is adoption of the regular minutes, and the minutes are not, due to the length of the last meeting, it will be in our, Catherine has told me that it'll be in our council packets at the next meeting. They want to go over it, make sure that, they get everything in it, and make sure there's no spelling errors in the whole 9 yards. So that will be, the adoption of the minutes of January 2 will be in our next council agenda packet. The town manager is not here this evening. She is still on vacation. I got a call from her last night, and she will be back next week. So we'll move right on with presentations, congratulations, and introductions. And the only thing that I really have on that is that Pete is going to be meeting sometime when she gets back. They received a proposal for 2 of the remaining 4 industrial park lots, and when they get back, we're going to get together and meet with the interested party and put together a proposal. I don't have dates and times yet, but that will be coming up in the not too distant future. And that's all I have for that. Also, there was, and I was not here, so again I apologize, there was a bunch of resolutions, that not a bunch, but a few that were tabled at the last meeting. Keep in mind that we have to have a vote to take it off the table and then vote on it to adopt it. Okay, because they were tabled. Okay, so hearing none, we'll move right on to Resolution 1901.
Resolution 19-01. Resolve that the Town Council appoint Catherine Root as official representative, Councillor Blank as official representative, and Councillor Blank as alternate to the General Assembly for the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, KV-COG.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a resolution or a motion that we remove Resolution 1901 through 1910 from the table to be addressed tonight.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? I think that's a smart move, save us time. And yes, sir.
To my recollection, none of the resolutions were tabled because they were never considered. They were just put off.
Again, I apologize. I was not at that part of the meeting.
We technically did not table them, but they're listed as resolutions tabled here. So I don't know if we have to do that in order to follow this agenda or not.
Certainly can't hurt, that's for sure.
I think we can skip it and just move to have the motions.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to bring all these off the table and handle them as normal and seconded. Any other comments? Not hearing any. Since you're all ready to vote, all those in favor of bringing all resolutions 1901 through 1910 off the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and those resolutions are off the table. And I'll look for a motion on resolution 1901.
Move we adopt resolution 19-01.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Audience, yes,
I'm sorry.
No? Audience, anybody wish to comment on resolution 1901? Yea or nay? No? Okay, not hearing any, I'll look for a motion from the council.
We have a list
Not a
of
motion,
who
but-
was on
Yes.
the committee before.
I believe this one, I'm pretty sure it was,
It's right here.
Yeah.
This is the minutes from last year.
okay. Yeah, we have, at this point in time, we had, Bob, you were the official representative and I was the alternate, which I didn't wind up going to any of those meetings, but,
Because that was only one anyway, so.
yeah. So we need one as official representative and one as the alternate. Are you, anyone interested in doing that this year?
Take it on again. I don't care.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to be the alternate before I, any interest?
I can be alternate.
Okay, thank you, Heather. All right, so, any other questions or comments concerning this resolution? Okay,
What's the purview of the Kennebec Valley Council of Government?
say that again?
What is the purview of the Kennebec Valley Council of Government?
I'm pretty sure what this is, because I never went to one of their meetings last year, the whole idea is that we have representation from Pittsfield on there when they make their bylaws and things of that nature.
They do something.
It's also a resource.
Yeah, we are a member of.
It's a
KV.
resource,
Yeah.
we pay dues, so it's a
Right.
resource.
Yeah.
It's actually a big resource for economic development.
They've come and made presentations before, and Joel Greenwood did some work on our sidewalk project through KV Cog and our membership with them, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, any questions or comments, councilors? Not hearing any, I sense that you're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 1901, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it with the council's names of Councilor Stackhouse as official representative and Councilor Donahue as the alternate.
Resolution 19-02, resolve that the town council appoint blank as the alternate representative to the General Assembly for the Kennebec Regional Development Authority, KRDA, also known as First Park.
Okay. I'll look from, motion from the council.
Move we adopt resolution 1902.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Audience, any comments, questions, yea and nay, agree or disagree on resolution 1902? Okay. Not hearing any, I'll turn it over to the council. Anybody have any names? I was on that last year. Again, I've got no problem with somebody else being on it. Anybody interested? Okay, if not, I'll put my name on it then. Any other questions or comments concerning this resolution, councilors? Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 1902 with Timothy Nichols as the alternate representative to the General Assembly for Kennebec Regional Development Authority, known as First Park, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes as well.
Resolution 19-03, resolve that the town council appoint blank as an alternate to the Main Services Center Coalition in addition to the town manager.
For motion.
Move we adopt resolution 19-03.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions and comments, audience. Anybody in the audience wish to make a comment concerning resolution 1903? No? Okay. Not hearing any, I will look to the council. And the name in there last year was Howard Michaelski.
What exactly is the Main Services Center Coalition?
Don't know, we didn't have a meeting.
We didn't have a meeting.
Do we pay, we're paying dues to be part of this and then there's no meeting?
It has something to do with MMA, Maine Municipal Association, because it's listed as a committee on their website, but it's a dead link, there's no link to it. So, beyond that, basically it's towns similar to us that are considered service centers. And I believe Catherine just attended all the meetings, if they did have a meeting, that she attended them.
Okay.
Howard, did you want to serve on that again this year if they have a meeting?
If they have a meeting,
Okay.
were there absolutely no meetings last year as far as?
I don't, to be honest with you, I haven't heard of one.
Okay.
I don't recall
Well,
it
you
being
would be
somebody
the alternate.
Yeah, you would go if
So
Catherine
if
couldn't
Catherine
go.
didn't go, that
Yeah.
doesn't mean to say you can't go
Well, that's
with
what I'm
her.
saying. I'd like to know when
Right.
they are or if they are.
Well, I think Mike could find out when those meetings are.
I can
For
check
you.
the website.
Sure.
It's not listed in
No,
Okay.
I'll call the MMA.
Any other questions or comments concerning this resolution, councilors? Okay. Not hearing any, since you're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 1903 with Councilor Margolski as the alternate in the Main Service Center Coalition, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes as well.
Resolution 19-06, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to hire independent reviews and execute all paperwork for airport grants for the year 2019 as necessary in accordance with the town's bid policy, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, regulations, and the Maine Department of Transportation, MDOT, regulations.
Look for motion.
Move we adopt resolution 19-06.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Audience, questions or comments? Any questions or comments concerning resolution 1906? Not hearing any, I'll look toward the council. Questions or comments? Pretty much it.
This is pretty standard
Yeah.
from previous years because of all the grants and everything.
Right.
We have to go through this, right?
Yeah, it's basically, you're absolutely right, Deb. Okay, any questions, comments? Not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 1906, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes.
Resolution 19-07, resolved that the town council sign the Earth Day proclamation supporting community-wide activities. Earth Day is Monday, April 22nd, 2019.
Look for motion.
Move we adopt resolution 19-07.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience wish to make any comments concerning resolution 1907? None at all? Okay, I'll look to the council. This happens every year. This is questions or comments? None here, none? Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 19-07, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes as well.
Resolution 19-08, resolved that the town council sign the Arbor Day proclamation supporting community-wide activities. National Arbor Day is the last Friday in April, Friday, April 26, 2019. And Maine's Arbor Day week is the third full week in May, Sunday, May 19th through Sunday, May 25th, 2019.
Look for motion.
Move we adopt resolution 19-08.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Audience? Anybody in the audience wish to comment on resolution 19-08? No comment? No one in the audience? Okay, I'll look to the council. Questions or comments? The same thing.
Yeah.
No questions? Not hearing any? I sense you're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 1908, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes.
Resolution 19-10, resolved that the town council appoint Jennifer Watson to the theater committee to fill an unexpired term through 12/31/2019.
Audience, anybody in the audience? Well, first of all, look for motion, I apologize.
Move we adopt resolution 19-10.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Now, audience, anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Watson. I'm looking forward to being on the theater committee.
Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments concerning resolution 1910? Okay, not hearing any, I'll turn it over to the council. Council? Yes.
I'd like to say thank you, Jennifer, for stepping up and filling that position.
Well, I got an email from a group called Pittsfield Theater Action Network, PTAN. Did everyone else get a copy of that email?
What does it say? I don't know.
They have created a group to try and save the theater.
Facebook, correct?
Hmm?
Facebook group, correct?
I actually got an
They
email.
have a Google group with email lists too, yes.
They have a group that met in the library. And
Right.
what needs to happen, I believe, is hopefully when some of this stuff gets shaken down here, that I'd like to see that group meet with the theater committee, collaborate, get ideas and see what can happen moving forward.
I guess I have an issue with appointing somebody to a committee that isn't going to exist come June 30th.
I have a question. Why would the committee not exist come June 30th?
Because the theater is only funded for half a year. It will be
At the
closed.
current rate, but I mean, if we don't run out of budget, we keep going, right?
Correct.
No, that's not what we determined.
We're just not funding the theater. We're not telling the theater they can't continue run. If they can
If they can come up with the money, but the town
self-fund.
is not putting any more money in.
Right. We will no longer be a line item on them. That's what I got.
They'll be run more like a business, an independent business, so to speak.
With town council oversight because we still own the theater.
Correct.
So there's,
Yeah.
Well, I think all those things are still up for debate and development, but we still have a theater committee, and the committee has 2 seats that are available. So I think that we should fill those seats in the interim until decisions are made contrary to that.
okay.
Any other questions or comments, councilors? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my name's Sarah Lawrence. I'm the founder of the Pittsfield Theater Action Network. I just wanted to say hi, and I was here in case you guys didn't know my face.
Thank you very much. And thank you for stepping up and volunteering to do that. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you. This is my co-founder, Becca Nader, to the side of me. We grew up in this town. We really love this town. We really love the theater, and we're super excited to work with everyone here and do what we can.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, any other questions, councilors, concerning this? Okay, not hearing any, I sent you ready to vote. All those in favor of Resolution 19-10 with Jennifer Watson's name added to the Theater Committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Council Bolster?
Aye.
Council Donahue?
Aye.
Councilor Margolski?
Aye.
Council Stackhouse?
Aye.
Council Billings?
Nay.
And I say aye. So ayes have it. And Jennifer, thank you for volunteering for that. Congratulations, and looking forward to seeing you there. Okay, so council, next is reports. Council committees, Finance Committee,
No report this evening.
okay, Ordinance Committee.
No report this evening, but we do have a meeting scheduled now for next Tuesday at 6:30. So.
Yes.
6:30. Ordinance Committee meeting, 6:30, next Tuesday. Okay.
Here.
Here.
Yeah, can you give me the details on that so I can schedule it on the video?
6:30 next Tuesday.
We'll wrap it up by
What is
midnight.
what's that date?
That would be, Deb, that would be the
Next Tuesday, the 22nd.
the 22nd.
And it's just a preliminary looking at the ordinance changes that were proposed last summer that kind of came forward, and we're going to go over those and talk about a couple other things too, and see where to go for those, if they need action or not.
Recycling Committee has no report, however, that will be active again in the very near future. Board Committee updates by Town Council. The manager is not here.
Sorry, does the recycling committee have a particular day in the month that they meet, or is it kind of dependent on schedules?
It used to be, I believe it was the first Wednesday of the month. However, my schedule didn't work well for that, and some other people were having some issues, including myself. And so what happened was we kind of was pretty much caught up on what we could do. We were just basically reviewing what we'd done. So we kind of put it off until some other things came up. However, with a bunch of different things coming this year, was probably some changes at the recycling center, probably some ordinances that may change. And with the bicentennial coming up and all that, I'm suspecting that we'll get active again. And when I have my first meeting, I'm going to try to get one together. I'm going to try to determine what would be a good time to meet. Tuesday nights work for me better than any night, but that's me. You know, it's a majority thing. And
Can you, do you do it by email to figure out
I-
when to meet, or?
Well, usually Catherine, once we decide it, she'll send an email out, but I can make sure that you get
Yeah, if you
contacted.
could CC me on that. And Donnie, do you usually go to, sorry, there you are. Do you usually go to the recycling committee meetings?
Yes.
So I can make sure that,
I'd like to know as well.
okay.
Thank you.
Yep, I'll make sure, matter of fact, I'll write myself a note right now. Yeah, I'll make sure that, you guys are well aware of that. All right, just bear with me.
While we're on the subject of recycling, I'd like to request that Donnie come and make a presentation regarding exactly what it is that we recycle and what we don't recycle, and what he sees as the future. I've seen a couple articles. Cities like Ellsworth are doing away with their recycling altogether because it's not profitable. So I'd like to know more about that program and consider whether it's feasible to continue doing it.
Okay, yeah, I think we could do that.
Thank you.
We could do it at a recycling, we could do it at a, if
I'd
Donnie's
like
up
to
with
do
it, maybe
it
we could do it
here.
at a regular council meeting. I think that actually
Maybe
would
we
be better,
could
to
put
be
that
honest
on
with
the
you.
agenda for next time? Is that enough time, or do you want?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, we could do that.
Deb,
Thank-
there is
thank you.
was it last fall, the recycling committee finished their redo of the handout? There's a nice color brochure available upstairs that has, like, in great detail what you can and can't recycle.
I
Do you
think,
already have that, or it's like green and white and?
I think it would be good
Get 'em?
if Donnie can do it, I think it would be good to put that back out there in public view,
Oh,
when
yeah.
we got spring clean will be coming pretty soon, and
Yeah.
different things, once we get along towards March, I doesn't, education doesn't hurt a thing, and as long as he's willing to do it, I think it'd be good for everybody concerned, and that way it would clear up any questions that, new things come out all the time. This way it would help. Okay, boards and committee updates. Councilman Magolski, any update on the bicentennial?
We had a good meeting last week, in spite of the storm at MCI, really good turnout. We're finalizing events, and basically a calendar is being prepared for the year, and we're working on events for the week of 6/15 to 6/22, which is the week of the anniversary of the bicentennial. And I think we're firming some of those decisions up. Next meeting is going to be held, I believe, here at the council chambers on the first Wednesday of February 6th at 6 p.m. We're doing it here. We thought we'd give it a try here. We can kind of rearrange the setup here in the chambers, but we thought it'd be a good idea to have it broadcast and recorded, basically to get more interest, with the citizens. So we're going to give it a try next week. Of note also, some of us met actually with Tim Sample yesterday regarding, he's going to be kind of the keynote entertainment on 6/19. So we met with him and had a few laughs and a good discussion. And he is quite a character. So that's moving along. He gave us some good suggestions as far as how to set it up and things that we should do beforehand. And we're working on planning on having that outdoors at Hathorn Park, weather permitting, and we're working on alternative sites in case of rain. So that'll be all prearranged, and and I'm sure there'll be a lot of other events scheduled for that week. And once the schedule is finalized, it'll be both on the town's website. We'll be doing advertising in Rolling Thunder and possibly other places.
There's always a calendar down at Bud's with the overall year as well as the next upcoming event, which as of this point is, I believe, the Winterfest at the Pinnacle, which it actually is on March 2nd, I believe. So, tentatively, we'll have the next meeting February 6th here in the council chambers.
Thank you.
Yep.
Heather, did you have any report?
Yeah, the Media and Communication Committee, Howie and I had a brief conversation about scheduling. So we're going to meet next Tuesday morning here at 8 a.m. And we can put that on the schedule as well. Michael, did you get my email?
Yeah, I have
I copied.
the video scheduled already.
Okay.
Still need to put it on the town website schedule.
Yeah, so Tuesday morning here at 8 a.m. we're going to have a meeting, and we've been reviewing the website. We pretty much need to work within the limitations of the platform that we currently have. It'd be expensive right now to make any changes, which we're not prepared to do. So we're looking at the content only right now versus the format, and looking at what we can do within the content that we have available to put on there and how to make that more useful to find, easier to find information, and having more useful information on there. There's a lot of outdated information on there to clean up and clean out. So that's the primary thing we're going to talk about.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is, we'll skip over the town manager's report, because obviously she's not here this evening, and we'll go to new business.
Resolution 19-11. Resolve that the town council appoint Amber Quint to the theater committee to fill an unexpired term through December 31st, 2019.
Look for motion from the council.
Move to adopt resolution 19-11.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Audience, anyone in the audience wish to speak concerning this resolution? Anyone at all? Okay, not hearing any, I'll look for council. Questions, comments? No questions, no comments? Okay. Not hearing any, I sense you ready to vote. All those in favor of appointing Amber Quint to the theater committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay?
Okay. We will do a roll call. Council Bolster?
Aye.
Council Donahue?
Aye.
Council Magolsky?
Aye.
Councilor Stackhouse?
Aye.
Council Billings?
Nay.
And I have aye. So that passes, and Amber Quint is now a member of the theater committee. Congratulations to Amber Quint.
Thank you.
Next is discussion items, of which there are none. So we'll go right to reports. Audience. Anyone in the audience wish to speak this evening?
Hi, Jimmy.
Yes, Mr. Hollenbeck.
Many of you know me. I'm Don Hollenbeck. I'm with the Pittsfield Historical Society. I'm the curator right at the moment. There's been a lot of discussion about the theater in this building, this room, past couple of weeks. So I thought I'd step up and give you a little history of how I understood that the theater came to be owned by the town. Back around 1975, late 75, somewhere around 75, 76 area, a bunch of the clubs at MCI, Key Club, White Teens, etc., were called to a meeting at the theater. Let me back up just a second. Before that time, Glenn Wheaton owned the theater. He closed the theater because he was unable to pay the taxes on the theater. At that time, the theater was up for sale. There was only one taker for the theater at that time, and it was a porno outfit, from what I understand. So anyway, a committee was formed when I was in high school. I believe I was a senior, possibly a junior. I don't remember which. It's been a while. But anyway, as I said, a bunch of us were called together at the theater, and we were given manila envelopes with pads in them. These pads were applications to join the community theater organization. It was just getting underway. It was a membership deal. We went door to door in our neighborhoods and places where we knew. I did Peltoma, And I did Somerset Avenue. I was familiar with Somerset Avenue after having lived there. I believe membership was for a year with the promise of having 2 free admittances to a movie down the line. But anyway, apparently the funds raised were not sufficient to sustain the booking of the film, the salaries of the people involved at the theater, the supplies at the theater. So, again, from what I understand, the town bought the theater for $1. The theater was never set up in any discussion that I overheard, and I didn't attend council meetings as regular as I do now, for the theater to make a profit in any way, shape, manner, or form. I used to go to the theater a lot. Around one time when Marilyn Morse was in charge down there.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me one time that she tried to get ahead on the budget, but a state inspector came in and said they had to have all new carpet in the theater. That blew the budget out of the water. Back then, the projector was a carbon arc projector, and those carbon arc bulbs were probably horrendously expensive. So you get what the system is now. Town helped pay for that. Now people try to tell me too that the theater didn't have a second story. It did. Back in 1926, among other tenants up over that theater, you had a lady osteopathic doctor that had offices up there. In the 1960s, Tony Cirillo had offices upstairs over there. Also in the 1960s, St. Martin's Church had space up there for their church services till we gained the church over in Palmyra and renovated that for our use over there. It is not the one that's there now. The one that's there now is a rebuild. The original one burned down a couple of years ago. But anyway, as I say, and the theater, I have also seen pictures of the theater with the theater box office being out under the marquee. It just so happened a lady showed me a picture a number of years ago of a post office, of the postal workers. Postmasters convention was held at the Delancey House, and they gathered for a group picture on the front lawn of the Delancey House. And the angle of the picture showed right into the front of the theater, and you could see the front of the theater. Unfortunately, we weren't given the picture at the museum, so all I can do is reference it by having seen it. And for other references, having a second story, we've got a picture of when Eisenhower came to town. There's a picture we have down there of somebody waving out of a window up over the marquee of the theater. So as I said, as far as I ever knew, the theater was never intended to make a profit. It was why they never bothered to apply for 501c3 status. I haven't got a clue. They should have. That's all I got to say, Tim.
Thank you. I don't think you'd see people reaching out the windows trying to tap the president on the shoulder like they did back then now. I got a feeling the Secret Service have a heart attack.
Not with this guy we got in Washington, no.
I've seen that picture, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah. All right, anybody else in the audience wish to speak this evening? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Hi, Leverett Fernald.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks, Don, for your little thing, you know. Yeah, I saw something on Facebook a couple of weeks ago about the theater, and of course I really don't know what's been discussed or anything that's coming up. I'm glad to hear that some of the groups that's forming to try to help it. I just wanted to say that I'm part of a couple of groups that are 501c3s. I'm with the Downey Scenic Railroad in the town of Hancock, and I'm also participating in the restoration of Main Central 470. And it's all volunteer. We rely on grant monies, private donations, and things like that. So if there's anything I can do to help to maybe move this thing along, let me know.
Appreciate it. Love taking your brain at breakfast.
Let's move the thought.
Thank you, sir, very much. And please leave your contact numbers and, you know, because you could be a very valuable resource.
No, I'll do what I can.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak this evening? Yes, sir.
Ron Watson, Pittsfield resident. So I attended the last council meeting and I took several notes that I chose to not voice at that time because we've been here for 7.5 hours. So you all get to listen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the first thing that I thought of as we were going through that meeting was that there was a little bit of disorganization in the processes that were being applied, how things were being conducted, and it's completely understandable, largely because of the tone of the room, the length of the meeting, and so on and so forth. My suggestion to the council is that you consider getting either one of yourselves or somebody on the town staff trained as a registered parliamentarian for just such situations, right? If anybody were to audit the books of that meeting, or the record of that meeting and say, was this done properly? I suspect that they would find several things that were done improperly. And that can be problematic from a legal standpoint. Second, a lot of the resolutions that were discussed this evening are related to very specific organizations or instances of situations that recur every year. And speaking as somebody who looks at the agenda pretty much every Friday morning or Thursday evening when it's posted, a lot of times I have no idea what any of that information is pertaining to. I would request that in the agenda that there's a brief background listed for every item for individuals who are trying to get involved in the town council or trying to attend meetings, because it's a pretty intimidating step to try and figure everything out while you're doing everything else that you're responsible for. So some background for members of the public who aren't as involved would be very helpful.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
It's a good idea, actually.
Thank you.
I suppose it's a matter of posting the whole packet.
Yeah,
Because we get background on those, well, not this week, but usually we get background on those items. Like if we're doing, if we're addressing like a bids or something, the entire bids are listed in there. So it can be 100 pages or more. There's usually, what, 1 or 2 copies maybe available during the meeting, but to print off a volume of that for everybody to have a copy would be just wasteful.
Absolutely.
But I don't see why we couldn't have a link. Mike, that would work, wouldn't it, on the,
Yeah, I could
to link it
put
in,
right
because
up
it's
on
already
the-
The whole
electronic.
packet.
Yeah. So
I think
it's
that's a
easy
good
enough to
idea.
do.
That would
Yeah.
be great.
You guys
Thank
get
you.
an email already, so.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would, I don't, if that's doable,
Sure.
can't hurt. Yeah.
Along those same lines, as far as accessibility of information, during the last meeting before it was starting and while the meeting was being conducted, there were several people who were trying to access the Wi-Fi system down here. And I think it's great that we have a Wi-Fi system. I was one of the people that voiced a desire for that, and it's fantastic that it's now available. But it'd be really helpful if right on the central table here, there were a taped over sheet of paper that said the name of the network and the password so that members of the audience can log on to it.
Yep. Sounds good.
You're
There-
just full of good ideas tonight.
Thank you. I'm going to keep going, so I hope you say that
Good.
again. There is a SVH Community Health Coalition that meets on a pretty regular basis. I would invite one of the members of the council to participate in that if anybody's interested. A lot of the information that we discuss, a lot of the programs that we discuss function through SVH or associated organizations within town or within the region. And a lot of the work is done to help combat the opioid epidemic and its associated effects. As we discussed last time, it's a very big issue in our town and in the region and the state of the country. And having a representative of the town council or the town government would be a big help in planning certain things. So anybody who's interested, please contact SVH, Jessica Olette, and she can direct you to when the meetings are.
I'm on that mailing list, and I did go to a couple, but I haven't been to the last one.
What's the group again?
I think it's called the SVH Community Health Coalition.
Okay.
It's a coalition with a specific roster of people who are supposed to be involved. And Councilor Mogolsky, I was unaware that you were on that list, so I didn't mean to step over you and invite somebody else.
You
I
can
apologize for that.
step right over me, I don't care. Feel free. Join the club.
Next, so I am the type of person who likes to have as much information as I possibly can at my fingertips for reference sake. And one of the things that I have run up against several times over last year since I moved, or 2017 since I moved to town, was lack of accessibility in the governing documents of this town. The charter, to my knowledge, is not online, available for the public. The only ordinances that are listed online are the land use ordinances, which are useful for public members, but there are a whole other host of ordinances that are also governing this town. And additionally, I've heard an administrative code referenced several times, and I've never even seen a copy of that. So if it's possible to get all of the governing documents for the town available on the website for the public, I think that'd be very helpful, because a lot of people cannot make it to the town office during opening hours, and rather than bugging the staff and asking them to take time out of their day to help me, it'd be great if I could just access it all.
Okay.
I think the administrative code that Catherine had referenced to is a state document,
Okay.
and it's like if you go into any lawyer's office, they have like volumes this large.
Right.
That's like the administrative, the code. So I don't know if that is going on the website.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll
or
link
if
to
it's
it. It's a
already
state
there
document.
through the state.
Okay.
But I think that's the document that she's referencing when she says to check the administrative code.
So I'll have read that by
I
now.
Well,
think-
our ordinance book is titled
The ordinance book,
Administrative
our
Code.
ordinances are within our book, like our manual that we get.
Okay.
So that's.
So maybe if it's a state document, just having a link to it on the website would be very helpful. Thank you, Councilor Donahue. Governing documents. So one of the things that I've run into, I've been reading back through the town council minutes, starting with the first meeting in 1819 and moving forward. And one of the issues that I'm running into is it's lots of information.
The bicentennial, right?
It's the bicentennial, yes.
Okay.
One of the issues that I'm running into is, as I'm reading these documents, I need to go into the town office to take pictures so that I can then take it home and try and decipher the script, because I'm not great at reading script. So it's a problem. Obviously, they didn't have tape recording back then, but we do have a whole set of tapes upstairs that serve as a record for town council meetings back many, many years. The technology now exists to have a piece of equipment that could digitize those pretty quickly and relatively cheaply. If it was possible to have somebody on staff as a several-year project even start to digitize those tapes and make them available as links on the web, or even files that could be sent to members of the public who are interested, that would be very helpful from an information accessibility standpoint.
We can look at that.
Thank you. Lastly, or not lastly, I've got two more things. PEAK, I've heard it referenced several times. I know what it is, Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation. I know it does a lot for the town, and I'm really grateful for the members who participate and volunteer their time to do so. I have two questions. One, are the meetings open to the public?
No.
No.
No. Okay. Secondly, I have scoured the internet trying to find references, documents, anything related to PEAK, just so I can get an idea of where a lot of our economic expansion money and efforts are going, so that if somebody's interested in participating and helping, they have the opportunity to do so. I can't find anything, and I'm not half bad at finding information. So if we could get some information maybe on the town website that discusses who PEAK is, what they do, their budget, just some basic information so that we as town members understand what is it, what do they do, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Lastly, the Historical Society. Thank you, Don, for the historical lesson. That's pretty interesting. It's really interesting, actually, and I know several of the photos that you referenced, and they are very cool. Seeing the old theater before the big fire was quite a treat. It was a pretty special building, and still is. The Historical Society is having a meeting this Sunday at the library from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It's going to be a strategic planning meeting. We're going to be going through all of the bylaws of the committee, our plan over the next several years. The Historical Society is actually going to be starting the process of getting accredited by the American Alliance of Museums, which is a pretty big accreditation process. It usually takes 2 to 3 years. And there are no community-based historical societies in the state of Maine that are accredited for that. So it would be a pretty big deal if we got it, both for the town and for the depot.
It's Sunday?
This Sunday at the library from 2 to 6.
2 to 6.
Yes, sir.
Patriots game starts at 1.
So you can do it on your phone, just keep one earbud in.
Not good enough.
Any members of the public that are interested, please attend. Warning, if you show up, I'm probably going to try and put you to work.
Right.
Sir.
Is the Historical Society set up as a 501c3 or anything?
Yes, sir.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's actually, thank you for bringing that up. One of the really great things about the Historical Society is if you make a donation to the Historical Society, either of money or of an object, we can give you our tax ID number and you can use it as a tax write-off. So if you have historical artifacts, or if you'd like to give us money, just give us money. It can be a tax write-off for you, which we all understand is a helpful thing this time of year. So, any questions? I'll leave my contact information with the town office. Please get in touch with me. Otherwise, thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else in the audience this evening wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I guess I just have a couple of questions about the movie theater and the funding. Is it that the funding runs out on that date, or is it that we have X dollars of funding and we can make that last as long as we can make it last? I thought initially that the funding got cut in half.
We have X dollars of funding.
Wonderful.
We can stretch
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
In other words,
I
the
guess
funding ends in June.
No,
No.
we have like 45.
the funding ends when the
X
45.
dollars of funding.
Mhm.
All we did was make changes to the line item in the budget. We didn't put any constraints. The assumption is they have half the funding, they're open for half the year. But we did not put any constraints at the meeting
On how they use it.
operations and how it's used. So whether
So the,
it operates for like 2 nights a week and stretches those funds out or finds a better way to utilize the funds, that's the committee, the theater director needs to kind of figure that out and make their way through that quandary. And I would certainly hope that it would have input with the council and consultation with the council if they're changing days of operations and things like that, because we've always approved like rate changes and stuff like that have always come to the council for approval before that's happened. So it's a set amount of funding, not a set time for funds to be expended.
and so when the
Except for the
funds
2019.
run out, there'll be another discussion about what to do with the theater.
Next budget season, we'll be discussing it again, I assume, right?
Yeah.
My expectation going forward is that we need to have more regular reports about the funds that are being expended, how they're being expended, and what the status is of that account, as well as what's happening. As far as I know, there haven't been any operations changes at the theater yet. So we're 3/4 of the way through the month, but no changes have been made to operations yet. So
Right.
the time, the clock is ticking. If there's going to be changes made that to make an impact on having that money last a little longer, then they need to be made pretty quickly, and those decisions need to be made.
Okay, well, I just want to make myself clear, because at the last meeting, there was extensive talk of the theater, and as long as I have lived in this town, the theater has lost money. And at the last meeting, we all agreed, and most of the audience agreed, that it was not fiscally responsible to keep pouring money into a project that reaps no benefit financially. We're unfortunately not a charity, and at some point, we have to look at closing the theater.
Not if they're self-sustaining, as long as they're
If they
making
are,
enough money.
they can buy it, and then it does not be, it's not part of the town's responsibility, is what I'm trying to say. You need to get out from under the responsibility of the theater. And if 300 and something people joined that new group that I got the email on, They can do fundraising, they can purchase the building. It's been for sale all these years, we just don't advertise it. So I just want to make myself clear that there needs to be another discussion.
Yes, sir.
I believe we're still in audience reports. Is it okay
Yes,
if
we
I ask
are.
a question? You mentioned that the building had been for sale for all these years.
Yep,
Do you know the sale price of it?
I have no idea.
Does anybody?
Catherine never informed anyone, just said it was for
I didn't know it
sale.
was for sale.
I didn't either.
I've never seen it for sale. No,
And
it's
it's
not
not
listed in the town properties that are for sale.
There's no sign there, but it's been for sale. There have been people interested, but have not followed through.
So my suggestion would be that before any funding run out, and I believe the theater committee is going to present a budget proposal that will cover funding for at least some amount of time. However, my suggestion would be that the town council have a discussion here, not here right now, but here at some point in the near future. Is the council interested in selling the theater to a group to operate as a nonprofit, or if something's going to be turned around and if the budget becomes self-sustaining, do we want to keep it as the only municipally operated community theater in the whole state, and maybe the whole eastern seaboard, the whole country?
But
So-
that's for you folks.
Right.
Right.
And we want to get, before that happens, we get input from, because if you go from a community theater to a privately run theater, that's a service that's being taken out of away from the public, just like the swimming pool or anything else. In order to do that, I feel that we'd have to have a meeting, we'd have to have public input. How does the public feel about that before we go any further? Now, I realize that money's going to dictate an awful lot, but I think that in all fairness to everybody, you'd have to put that out there and let them know how they feel about something like that before it goes any further. I think, again, these are all discussions that are coming down the pike, and that's how I feel. Yes, sir.
Tim, Mike Dugas, have we had any estimates on what it would cost to bring that building up to a saleable entity?
I believe we have, I don't have those figures in front of me tonight, but I know the roof was looked at and some other things, yeah.
Do we have knowledge of, anybody in the room have knowledge of what that would be?
I have the figures in front of me.
Yeah.
Would people like me to there's 9 categories from the Ames and Associates report. Would people just like the total number that was given on that report?
Sure.
What's the
And
date
that was
on
from
that
2 or 3
report?
years ago? 2015, so I think there was one more after that, but this might at least get us closer than a shot at the dart.
Is that the report that was done to have it upgraded as a running theater, or just a?
It was the report that was done when the town was considering whether or not to turn it into a performing arts center for the Weber Foundation funding. So the total at that time was $780,783. Of that, $183,293 was for the roof alone.
So therein lies an issue.
You could build a nice building for that kind of money.
I think Mr. Vigil would like to speak up.
Are you all done, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I
Mr. Vigil, go right ahead, sir.
I'm the gentleman that dealt with the Lieber Foundation in regard to that theater. And to create a performing arts center, you have to take the back side of the building off, replace the roof. There are significant structural challenges with this building at every level: the basement, second floor, and the roof. And there are not adequate restrooms. If you were to have a performing arts center there to satisfy that, the stage is not adequate. You're going to actually have to move the back side of the building out into what used to be an alley to satisfy the space needs for a performing arts center. So it's nothing short of $1.5 million that would take to bring it up to standards if it was to be used for that purpose. And I, again, want to remind people that when you go down that road, the operating expense increases as well.
Right.
this building, if you could see how it's built and how the roof is supported, is a significant challenge, structural challenge to recover. It's not just patching the roof. It's much more than that to get the support it needs to save it. The marquee itself needs some substantial work as well. So it's not insignificant, and it's highly improbable that that will be taken out of tax dollars here in this community based on where we are currently. The Libra Foundation has a significant concern because they have been approached by several communities or individual organizations that have theaters across the state that are not occupied. And there's countless number of requests for that purpose. And as a result of that, they've denied our request. And they perhaps would consider a performing arts center, but again, you'd have to have some degree of collaboration with MCI and the ballet program and all of that to put that whole thing together. And that does not exist at this time.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Jan Laux. First of all, I'd like to suggest that Ron Watson change his name to Moses Martin.
How about Moses Watson?
Moses Watson, that would be good. And I'd like to see the minutes of that first meeting. Okay. I just want to take a second and build on a little bit of how we talked about it, because we're working on the bicentennial. There's a lot good that's going to go on this year. I see 2 or 3 things happening with that. First of all, by the way, I hate to speak in front of the public.
You're doing fine.
He's awful bashful.
You're doing fine.
Anyhow, so
that's what we're going to call you, is bashful.
Yeah, that's right. That we have a lot of activities that are going to take place, and I think the theme for the bicentennial has been Pittsfield now and then. But I think the real theme for the bicentennial is Pittsfield today and tomorrow. And some of you have heard us talk about that already. And I don't want to talk about the theater tonight. Okay. What I think we need to do as a group is take a look at all the things that have happened over the last 200 years, the positive things that have happened, and the negative things that have happened, and learn from those negative things that have happened. And how do we move on from here? And the way we move on from here is through talking and discussion, and not name throwing and throwing rocks. And we can have all kinds of commissions and all of those kinds of things, and that's a good thing. But what do we want? And if you go to the library right now, in the library is the time capsule. And in front of the time capsule, there is a sign-in book, a guest booklet. I don't want you to jump into the time capsule, okay? Don't, because most of us won't fit. But what I want you to do is to sign the guest book that you've seen it. But there's also a little box next to that time capsule that says, what would you like to see in there? What do you think is in there, first of all? Take a guess. But also, what do you think, what would you like to see in there for the next 50 years? And if there's nothing that I can do or anybody else in this room can do, is we cannot guarantee what the next 50 years is going to look like. If you happen to catch, what was the show on CBS?
60 Minutes.
60 Minutes the other night. They're talking about the next 20 years. There's going to be 40% less jobs that are in the world today only in 20 years. Because of changes that are going to take place. So Steve, you better find something else to do. But, but the point is, there's going to be a whole lot of changes. And wouldn't it be nice if we were on the front side of those kinds of things?
Absolutely.
And I think we can do that, but the way we do it is through talking and problem solving. I just want to add one other thing. We've had a lot of support and a lot of help from people in the community. The meeting we had the other night, snowing like mad out there, a lousy day, and we had the largest group we've had on the bicentennial committee meeting. That's great. You know, there's one group though that I have not heard back from yet. And with the exception of Howie, because he's on the committee, that's you guys and gals right here. What would you like to see through the celebration for this year? As the council. Because in theory, you are the elected leaders. So you have my email address, and I would suspect that after this meeting's over, I might get a really humdinger, one or two of them. But if you've got some ideas, that's fine. If you don't come up with something, I guarantee that I will have something for you to do on June the 19th. And that's not a threat, that's a promise. Okay? I'm done, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Peter?
Has anybody not read Sangre Cook's book that was published 50 years ago? Anybody? Has anybody read the book? Okay. Go to the library and pick up a copy. If you don't have a copy,
It's available on the Historical Society website as well.
there you go. And
It's available online at the Historical Society's website.
yeah, Ron just said that. Yeah, thank you very much. But the point I want to bring out about that book, because it's a history of this community, and this community has had its ups and downs since its existence. And what's really amazing about it, just imagine one whole side of this town, right where we sit, going west, burning up. All the buildings gone. They were all wooden structures, and they rebuilt. And the number of things or occasions over the course of those many years where the town was at an all-time low. I think Lancey House burned down twice. A lot of people don't remember that. And the last time it didn't come back. And that was about 1970.
No, that was before, it was
1963
68.
or 4, it was before I
When we were married, we got...
Well, no, because we...
No, come on.
Yeah.
We lived
It
in an apartment
burned in
next
69, so
door.
it either burned in 68 or 60.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But the point is, the entire left side of Main Street was all wooden structures, completely boarded up. The whole block, all the way around, was boarded up. It was dilapidated, and it was a sad sight. And the same thing along Park Street here, where the park is now, Stein Park. There were buildings there, dilapidated, boarded up. Where the senior citizen housing was an old, that was the Hathorne estate, but it was all boarded up and buildings in shambles. This town has resurrected itself several times since it began. And it wasn't about the town taxpayers doing it. It was about people who were interested in this community, invested in this community, and created a lot of enthusiasm and excitement to right it up from being a hole in the ground. And it was. I mean, if you just read the history, it had its ups and downs over the years. And yet, over time, they did some tremendous things. If you read about the celebration of what used to be the woolen mill up where the shoe shop was, and how the Edwards Company came. Does anybody know how the Edwards Company came to Pittsfield in the beginning?
Wasn't it that Pittsfield had like a economic development thing then?
No.
Sorry,
People reached into their pockets. People who had little or nothing bought a share into that company, a bond-like event, and the people in this community funded Edwards Company coming to this community. And that company operated in this town since 1952 up until, 3 years ago, wasn't Edwards. Edwards got sold to United Technologies, but it was the people in this community that banded together and worked out these issues and rebuilt the town more than once, I might add, more than once. I think if my memory serves me right, at least 3 times. And what's that say? You know, if we're gonna dump this all on the town, and the town certainly should reject it if that's the case. It should. And I've been exposed to this personally and observed it in the 1970s. In something like 7 years, we were dumping our sewage in the river. Okay? We had no treatment plant. We had no interceptor sewers. We had to replace our collector sewers. We had no industrial park. We cleaned up that side of town and rebuilt this community in essence. We had no shopping center. There was nothing here, if you think about it. And what drove it upside down was the interstate coming through and bypassing us. That's essentially what happened. We just had no vision, no strategy, we didn't know where we were going as a community, and all of a sudden, it just went in a hole in a very few short years. And so the message to this council and the people in this community is, what are you going to do about it? What's the vision? It isn't just to live from one budget to the next. That theater was rebuilt by a gentleman by the name of J.R. Trinket, Mike's, the former mayor's grandfather. That was a dilapidated, old, broken down building. He bought it and he restored it, and we enjoyed it for years and years and years. And again, who's going to make these investments in this community? And it takes all of us. The Kiwanis Club was a very, very active organization here. We had a young people's organization called the JCs, included the men and women in it, and they did things. So it takes people, not just tax dollars, to bring it together. And we have a gentleman amongst us here who's brand new to this community. We never knew him 2 years ago, and he's here, and look at what he's done in 2 years. And you know who that is. It's Ron. Mm-hmm. And you look at what he's brought to the community, the time and the effort he spent. So it's not just Ron, and it's not just the people that are sitting at these tables. It's all of us. And it's up to us. We can either oblige ourselves to support one another and to do something good for this community and take control of it, because we're not in control. We're dumping it all on the council and saying, hey, you go fix it. And it's more than that. It's more than that. And I think we need to, really take stock of that and understand it and get up, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get into restoring this community to what it once was. Or 3 times now. There's no reasons why we can't do it 4 times.
Pete, you stole some of my thunder at the end of my thing here, but that's good. I hope you're around because I got a couple of things that I want to add to that, if you don't mind, when we do our reports at the end. Anybody else in the audience wish to speak this evening? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just can't hold it in. I'm Nancy Montero. Thank you. I appreciate what Mr. Riggi just said, but where do we have a statement of where we're going? We talk about where we're going, and I feel like half of us want to keep us in the dark ages, and half of us want to move us forward. I don't think I know, I don't know what your intent is and what your intent is. I mean, I know some of you, and I know where you want to go, but do we have a statement of intent? Where do we want to go? Do we want businesses? Do we want, I assume that we do, but then from the other side, we can't do that because it costs too much, or we can't afford to do that, but again, we can't afford not to do that. So where are we going?
Again, you stole some of my thunder, but yeah, we're gonna, this council and the townspeople are gonna have to have a conversation concerning that. Pete's absolutely right. We have, well, I'll save it for when I do my reports, but yeah, I agree with you, Nancy, you're absolutely right. Yes, Mike?
Has the comprehensive plan been updated since we did that?
2013.
That's a good place to start,
Yeah.
Nancy, but
Thank
it
you.
may not give you the whole picture.
But I'll give you some of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then I'll turn it to the council, and I'll start with reports for council, and I'll start with Mr. Bolster.
I don't have any report.
Heather?
Well, a couple things. Okay, so I want to remind everybody that is the Maine State Ag Trade Show this week. First day was today. It goes through Wednesday and Thursday. There's a lot of really informative workshops down in Augusta at the Civic Center for the next 2 days. A lot of displays and service providers in the area are going to be there. That's where I spent my day today. And also, the other thing I did today was I'm on the board of the Maine Cheese Guild, and this is a project that I've spoken about at the council meeting before, but we didn't have anybody here, so I'm going to talk a little bit about it now, just because I've captive audience. So, anyway, so the Maine Cheese Guild is 501c6, considered a trade group nonprofit that works for education and marketing benefit of cheesemakers in the state of Maine. We have about 100 plus cheesemakers. It's growing every year. There was 3 newly licensed or about to be licensed creamery people at our, I bet that surprised a lot of you, we had so many. 3 new people are just getting licensed or about to be licensed that were at our meeting today. And we have this thing called the Cheese Festival, Maine Cheese Festival, that we've put on the last 3 years. This is our 4th year doing it. I am on the site search committee. The idea is to move it around the state. We have it at Savage Oaks Winery for 2 years. Last year we had it at Freeport down at the educational Wolf's Neck Farm. And this year I'm on the site committee, and I put Manson Park in as a suggestion to host it. So Manson Park is one of 3 sites that's kind of still in the running. The sticky point about Manson Park is we need to come up with parking for like 2,000 attendees to come to this event. That's how many people we had attending last year. So, so I could use some help figuring out where the parking is in town. If people know, we're thinking that we might be able to do a bus loop, just continually driving through town, dropping people off. It's a Sunday afternoon in September, the week after Labor Day. But if I can come up with enough parking and community help with people to actually help direct people where to park, then I think I can talk them into bringing this event here. The Skowhegan Fairgrounds is the other site that we're going to look at, and on Friday, 2 of the other board members are going to come with me, and I'm going to give them a little tour of the area to show off Pittsfield a little bit. So I need some help coming up with parking areas. So if you know of sites that we can park, I thought of like the schools and stuff. So, and if the fire department, I mentioned, yeah, I told them, I said,
Yeah, that's not.
yeah, so that's the sticking point, is having enough places to park people, and do it that way. So.
If you did it at the shoe shop, then you could also showcase, you know, the river, the little loop, might take them around, give them a little scenic tour.
Well, it's a private property, so I hadn't really thought of the SAS building because of that, and getting in contact with people. But I was thinking at the schools, at the municipal parking here, municipal parking across the street, and maybe Chimbro's parking lot, the bank parking lot, because it's on a Sunday. Anyway, so I was told there's about 450 parking spots available in the park itself, like where they park for the Egg Festival and stuff. But we need probably another 200, maybe 3 to make it so that we have, because everybody pretty much comes to this thing at one time. It's not people trickling in and trickling out. Everybody shows up at 11 o'clock.
What about the airport where they take the snow?
The discontinued runway.
Discontinue, oh, I didn't know we had a discontinued runway.
Air show. We got it from the air show. That'll hard.
So I'll call Caleb. Okay, that's right across the way. So, great, see? Cooperation. So, Ron.
If you go to the property owners along Main Street, there are probably 200 parking spaces and driveways. Anybody who didn't want their driveway could just rope it off. But I would be surprised if a lot of people didn't say, yeah, you can put 2 or 3 cars in my driveway for that.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's the sticking point. I had them, I sold them on the idea that, it's right in a park, there's park benches and things like that and stuff, so that's just, I'm hopeful for that, so. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Heather. Howard?
Yeah, a couple of things. I forgot to mention, in addition to with the bicentennial, we are opening a headquarters for the bicentennial on Main Street. It's going to be next to Stan's Barbershop. He's been kind enough to give us use of that space, so we'll at least have a storefront. We haven't quite decided, I don't think, how it's going to be manned, or if it's going to be manned, or what we're going to do out of it, but we certainly will have displays and calendars of upcoming events for the bicentennial. Also, license plates are still available. You can buy them here at the office, or there are the availability to buy license plates for the front of your cars down at the Redemption Center. So they can be put on anytime now and are good through the end of December. Secondly, Mike, I wonder if we can make sure to get an update on where the library director's position is for next meeting, if we could, because I think that's an important position in town, and we need to have it filled ASAP with the duly designated authority. The movie theater. I think, yeah, we did fund it with half of the funds for the year. And my hope is that the theater committee will come up with a plan or several plans and options before too long. Certainly, hopefully by the end of February, maybe, or beginning of March, because by then, if you're still running the way you are now, you're not going to have much left over. So. As Heather said, we're taking a look at the town website. It's a difficult site to follow and find things. At times there's too much information, at times there's not enough information. In looking at it today for kind of reviewing ahead of the meeting that Heather and I are going to do next week, I found information on the next bicentennial meeting for February 2018 still on the site. So, it certainly needs cleaning up. It needs to be updated and kept updated for many events in town. And I'm just looking at that because I'm involved with the bicentennial. I think that when I moved to town almost 31 years ago with my family, I appreciated the smallness of the town, and also having lived here and lived through multiple events and trials and tribulations. I think that one of the dearest parts of a town like this is the existence of volunteerism. And how it is the lifeblood of the town. A town this size, to have the functions that we have, to have the ability to have a library, a transfer station, all of the amenities that we have here in town. Yeah, we do need new businesses, and maybe that'll help, but I think that, the vision for the town and the comprehensive plan, and maybe that needs updating, and, we need a vision for the town, I don't know that we're going to be a manufacturing mecca, for the state of Maine in the future. But let's reinvent ourselves. You know, let's reinvent who we are. We're an aging population. Us older folks, others that I've spoken with, are going to need places to live, to be taken care of. In a town like this, of this size, Sebastopol Valley Hospital recruited me up here from New York. And the fact is that, you know, if that hospital goes out of business or decides to leave, and or Chinbro goes out of business and decides to leave, you know, this town is dead, and there will not be a revival. So this town runs on volunteerism, and I think that sometimes at dark moments when we are in the situation that we're in, vis-a-vis our infrastructure, vis-a-vis the tax rate, vis-a-vis the movie theater and what to do about it, you know, at the dark moments in history, I think people come up with ideas and the ability to kind of band together and find some good out of all the darkness. And my hope is that in the next 6 months to a year, that'll happen here in town. So I have faith in the ability of humanity and the ability of people to bond together and do the right thing. So that's kind of where I'm at. And let's hope it gets better from here on. Thanks.
Thank you, Howard. Bob?
I don't have a whole lot. Our former mayor always likes to thank the people in the audience that come out and attend our meetings, and I would like to keep that tradition going. I thank everybody out here in the audience tonight for showing up and speaking. Everybody that spoke had great input, great ideas. Just hope we can keep, like Howard said, we can keep that rolling, keep the dialogue going. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Deb?
I also would like to say thank you for everybody that took time to come here. I'd like to see this happen more often. The other thing is the two young women that were voted to the theater committee. My opposing vote is nothing personal. It has nothing to do with...
Certainly didn't think it was.
Okay, well, I just want to say that out loud. I think the plan, I feel it's sad that it's come to the point with the theater when it's been talked about for years that something needed to be done. And now we've come to this point where we have to make a decision. We have no choice because we don't have any more money. So that's the reason I said nay. I would like to see something happen where the community comes together and takes over the theater and the theater continues to be here. I just don't think that the town is in a position to support it anymore. So that's what all I have tonight.
Thank you, Deb. I'll try to make this as brief as I can. Again, I apologize for the last meeting that I had to leave early. That last meeting was a very contentious and tough meeting, but again, I'll try to make this as brief as I can, but I think it had to happen. I think that if I looked at this town like a patient, like a loved one in the hospital, and us as family members getting together, you're going to have some disagreements on what's the best method moving forward to help the loved one, but everybody's idea is to help the loved one get where they belong and get them healthy again. And I think that's what everybody's intent was. How we get there is a debate. We have to have these happy families all the time, and they happen in towns all the time. And I think it needed to happen, and it's probably a good thing. It cleared the air, and everybody knows why that they said what they said and how they feel. And I think going forward, I honestly believe that we can do, myself personally, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm an old dinosaur. I'll be the first one to admit it, okay? I'm an old dinosaur. But just because I'm an old dinosaur does not mean I want to walk around on barren land and eat out of trees. I want to live in 2019, okay? We can't live in 2005. 2005 is in the dustbin history. We can't live there no more. We gotta move ahead, we gotta move this town ahead. And I think a lot of times there's a misperception out there. I think, personally myself, I think Pete has hit it right on the head. I think he's absolutely right. I think people have to come together. I think that everybody has to be on the same page when it comes to the town and the town's well-being. I think that businesses have to be involved. I think that nonprofits have to be involved. I think that the town council has to be involved, the town manager, and everybody has to be involved. And have to look at it like it's one thing. I won't name names, but I look at some of these towns. I mean, like Pete said, back in the 1970s, the downtown was falling apart. It had to be done, and we did it. The swimming pool is a classic example. It was going to be a hole in the ground, filled in with dirt. When people realized, they came together, and they took care of it. When the library was falling into disrepair, people came together. People, not just here, I think of Doug Friday. That guy worked his rear end off on that library, and he deserves a lot of credit. Somebody that just came up, like you said, like him, that just came out of the woodwork and did what they had to do. And the theater, I don't know how that's all going to turn out, whether it's going to be in there. I believe we're going to have a theater. I really honestly believe it. I believe we're going to have a theater. I think we'd all be naive to understand that we're not just going to have a theater. We're going to have a theater that does a lot of things. Now, whether it's in that building or another building, that's another whole subject that might happen down the road. But I think we're going to have one because I think the will's there to have it. And if the townspeople want it bad enough, they're going to see to it that it happens. Whether they have to roll their sleeves up, whether it takes a year, 3 years, 4 years, they'll see that it happens. But whether it's in that building or not remains to be seen. It might be viable to be in another building. That's not a far-fetched thing either. But we'll see what happens. But I appreciate everybody's input on this. But I think that where we get lost in the translation, and I was thinking about what you said, Nancy. I think where we get lost in the translation is I think that, okay, I refer to myself as a dinosaur, okay? And there's a lot of dinosaurs in my district, okay? So what's the balancing act here? We have to move ahead in 2019. I don't want to be one of these towns that people drive through 25 years from now and say, you know, I remember when this was here and that was here, and look at it now. And everybody spent all kinds of time fighting, arguing, and pointing fingers, and some of these, and I've lived in another town, and some of these arguments go all the way back to grammar school, for crying out loud. You know, this one was mean to me on the playground in the 7th grade. This one stole my girlfriend in the 10th grade. You know, people can stand around and point fingers at whose fault, who didn't do what 10 years ago, and they're arguing about cars and trucks, and the economic bus just drove right by and left them right in the dustbin. And I don't think that's a smart way to do business. I'm not a businessman, but you tell me, Pete, is that a smart way to do business? No, it's not. I don't want to fight with Pete Vicky over Timbro. That's not what I want to do. That's not smart. I want to pick his brain. Okay? We have to move this town forward into 2019, or we're going to get left behind. It's just that simple. Okay? I think how we do it is we say, okay, every idea matters. And here's where it gets lost in the translation. And I've seen this happen, and it's not done intentionally. Like in 2007, we had a bad recession. People were losing their houses, they were losing their businesses, and they didn't raise taxes at that time. People did what they had to do, what they thought was best to do at that time in 2007. Okay? Now it's 2019. 2007's over here. Okay? Same thing in the 1970s. They did what they had to do at that time to get it where it belongs. Okay? I think that you bring an idea forward, no idea is stupid. I think we need to debate it, we need to look at it through the merit of, can we do it? What are the pros? What are the cons? How do we finance it? Can we afford it? And not can we do it or not, but how do we go about it? How do we go about it? You include us, you include her, we look at the legal end of it. And the other part of it is the balancing act is you have to raise some taxes to get things moving along. At the same time, you don't want to push elderly people out of their homes. There has to be a balancing act. And I believe that it can be done. I don't see any reason why it can't be done if we all work together on the same page. You bring an idea forward. Okay, fine. Another thing I see that happens, and it's not done by mistake, it just happens. Okay, so we get 5 people working on a project, and 5 people working on this project, and 3 people working on this project, and a little bit gets done on each one, and it eventually falls by the wayside. Now, if we say, okay, project number 3 here, It's not unimportant, we need to do this. We're gonna have to wait until we get all the volunteers, but that does not mean it goes in the dustbin or the filing cabinet and be forgotten about. I think it needs to be brought up continually at this council. This idea can be done. How do we do it? What are the funding mechanisms out there? How can we do this? Run it through our legal system. Is it doable? If we, the private business, the 401cs, the volunteers, the townspeople, the council, the town manager, and our legal people all get on the same page, I don't see why it can't happen. And people say, oh yeah, right, yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah, it is going to happen because it's happened before. Has it not happened before, Mr. Bigby? 1973, I believe it was. Okay? And I see absolutely no reason why this town can't move into 2019. We've done it before, and we can do it again. And I'm going to challenge everybody. I don't believe any of these naysayers, and I believe, and I could be wrong, and I believe that I know that automation is going to replace a lot of things. I get that. Anybody thinks that movie theaters are going to exist in Bangor and Waterville with eight cinemas in there with 5 people sitting in each room, they're delusional. It's not going to happen. They're going to go out of business because they can't compete that way in the long scheme with streaming and everything else. But if we get innovative and creative and create a building that everybody wants to go to, it's not going anywhere, including movies. Now, is there going to be movie theaters? Yes, there is. But they're not going to exist in the form that we know now. At least that's the way I see it. Now, I might be full of prunes. I don't have a crystal ball in front of me, but I believe that. I believe that if we work together, I see absolutely no reason why this stuff can't happen. I know it will, because it's happened before, and it will happen again. But I think we need to bring the ideas forward. No idea is stupid. Let's debate it. Let's look at it through the eyes of how do we make it happen? What are the funding mechanisms? What can't we do at this time? And if we can't do it at this time, what time can we do it? And let's keep it up and keep it forward and keep it moving. Because I think people get discouraged and it gets lost in the shuffle if they think that the interest is gone. It's not so much the interest is gone, it's the fact that I think we get split off on 3 or 4 different things and it doesn't happen. That doesn't mean we can't do 3 or 4 things. But let's get everything out here, put it on the table, let's talk about it, and let's move it forward. Does that make sense to anybody out here at all? Because I think it can happen. I really honestly do. I see absolutely no reason why it can't. And I think we can do it, and I do not. I lived here my whole life. I don't want to go back to the 1960s when we had Ed's Head Shop on the main street, 1970, and them old yellow buildings boarded up. And I mean, I don't want to do that. I want to live in the future. I don't want to live in the past. It's got nothing to do with that. But at the same time, we have to remember, like I told you, I'm a dinosaur. I don't want to push all our elderly people out. There has to be a medium thing here. Because the truth of the matter is, everybody here, God willing, and the creek don't rise, is going to get a chance to be the dinosaur. It's all coming to everybody. So, there is no reason why this can't be done. And I believe that and I know I read about the 60 Minutes thing, but I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe we are right on the very edge of an economic boom in this country. And I don't want to be the one that says, well, Mike Dugas and Pete Biggie said this, and this one said this, and this said this, and this, and this. And we're standing there arguing about what happened 10 years ago, and there goes the economic bus, and we just missed the ride. Because I think it's going to be a short window of time. Now, if you people think about it, or you think I'm silly, you think about all the infrastructure we have done as far as water, and sewer, and power, and getting ready, and Pete knows that. And I think that together, if we all decide we're going to work together to make this work, I see no reason it can't happen. I am very optimistic that it can. It's just a matter of put it out there. It's not stupid. Let's look at it through the eyes of all get together as a group and how can we make this happen. And that's what I'd like to see. And that's all I have this evening. And I look for a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn.
Do I hear a second? All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. I don't know why you'd say nay, but we are adjourned.